Robinson Show. Kevin, you there?
I'm here.
Kevin Quigley.
That's me.
Author, podcaster, and more from Boston, Mass. How you doing, dude?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Right. What out of everything you do, what is your favorite?
Writing. Novels.
Yeah. How many do you have? I saw a bunch. You have some nonfiction and fiction?
Yeah. So I've written about 30 novels. I have published 2, and then I've written a bunch of nonfiction books, and all of those have been published. They're all on Stephen King. I've written a bunch of books about Stephen King.
I saw that.
Cool.
Are you like an expert on him? Like, do you know stuff that like a lot of people don't know, or do you just love Stephen King?
I am ranked in the top 10 experts about Stephen King in the world.
Wow. Could you tell us something that nobody would know?
Oh, boy. Well, he's 6'4", born September 21st, 1947. I'm trying to think of other stuff.
I was going to say, I could Google all this.
Does he manscape?
Not that I know of.
We got to step our game up, I say.
He does not remember writing Cujo.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Cocaine. He was, back in the 70s and 80s, it was all cocaine.
I seen an interview he did where he mentioned that before.
Wow, I never
It just
knew
like
that.
makes it on the shelf. He's like, "What the fuck is by Stephen King?" He's like,
Who wrote
"What's
this shit?
No, what it is, he gets a check in the mail. He's like, what the hell is this for?
What's Cujo? Who the fuck is Cujo?
You know that book you wrote?
exactly.
He starts beating his wife, thinking she's cheating on him and shit.
Who's this colored guy, Cujo?
He's in a coke bin.
He finally sees the movie. It's like,
Wow, I did that.
These are all the facts that nobody's known about
That's
Stephen
crazy,
King, right
though,
here.
Kevin. Holy cow, that's nuts. Wow.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So
I've written a bunch of stuff about him, and then my own stuff, and then I also I'm self-employed as a graphic designer.
Nice.
I saw your work, dude. You have some cool stuff. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like maybe like 50s-ish. Like, I don't know. It's like retro, kind of cool. Like, I like it, man.
A lot of the stuff I do is mid-century modern is the way they refer to it.
Cool.
So,
Like, almost kind of remind me, I don't know if you've ever seen the game BioShock. Like, some of the things from that. Or even, what's the one with where you're like, Fallout. Like, some of the pictures from that. How it's all, like, oldish looking. Like, it reminds me of that style. Whatever. Like, what did you say it's called again?
Mid-century modern.
Cool.
Man. Yeah, and I actually bought Fallout to do that, and then I realized that I'm more of a Mario guy.
Yeah.
So I couldn't.
I definitely
couldn't
agree
get
with
that.
that.
The first thing.
I tried playing one of the Fallouts. It was hard. Like, anything I got to conserve ammo on, and like,
I'm a Pac-Man guy. Pac-Man and asteroids.
I stick with the real
Anytime I
classics.
walk into the laundromat, I'm right on that fucking Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, depending on which one I go to.
Galaga
too, yeah.
Kevin, did you get the Switch?
Not yet. I'm hoping to get it for Christmas.
Because they got that new game. What's the Slim? You played it, right? The Mario?
Mario Odyssey, yeah, and it's cool. It's like a throwback to Mario 64. It's fucking awesome.
Nice.
So you throw his cap and you can become anything in the game?
Yes. Well, any of the like monsters, you can. Yeah, you take them over. It's like you mind control them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, like so the bullet bills will come at you, and you could throw your hat at the bullet bill and just control the bullet bill.
And then take out other bad guys?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Like you can aim it and everything.
That's pretty awesome.
You can take over the Goombas and then you can stack them. You can make like a tower of Goombas. It's really neat.
That's cool.
Oh, that's really fun.
And you get like 5 of them that are 6 foot.
Yeah. And
Or is it the wrong Goombas? I don't know.
And there's a co-op mode which I thought was amazing, where one player plays as Mario and the other player plays as the Cap, and it's actually like really fun.
Playing as the bad guy, like the control. Once you're the Cap, you're controlling the bad guys.
No, the Mario takes over the guy, but the Cap like can detach, and he could just like kill enemies and like collect coins and
Eat
stuff
mushrooms.
like that.
Yeah, shroom out.
Oh, that's really, really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Do cocaine, write a book, get paid.
Forget about it.
Yeah, you know, Mario writes
Cool what?
What's your favorite Stephen King movie or book, or are they different, Kevin?
Favorite book is It.
Okay.
And I was really happy that they came out with an actual good version of that movie. This year.
Yeah, I didn't like the original.
And then, go on.
I just saying I didn't like the original. I thought it was corny.
Yeah, I didn't. I liked the first 2 hours, and did not like the second 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then for movies, if we're talking like all movies, Shawshank.
Shawshank.
But Shawshank. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Stephen King wrote Shawshank. And but then Misery is my favorite of his horror movies.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They had that hot chick in the movie too.
Misery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best part of when she's in About Schmidt, she jumps in the
Oh yeah,
hot
she gets
tub
naked in that.
Her tits are just floating.
She reminds me of Slambo, but with smaller tits.
That's what I'd look like if I were a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you find so fascinating about Stephen King?
Yeah, and he's a hack.
It's the characters. I get really into them. I'm not really a big horror guy. I mean, I love some horror stuff. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, but for me, it's just you get deep into the characters, and so every time I read through one of his books, I'm like, oh, I dig deeper into this character, and I discover different nuances and stuff like that. And so I can write, and I have written essays about like one character, and here's the backstory that Stephen King hinted at but never really talked about. So the whole thing. So it's all I like the plot. I like and also he writes in this like cinematic fashion. Mm-hmm. That's what I keep trying to do, where he uses words like their stage directions. So at one point, like in Carrie, in his first book, Carrie, he every time she's gonna do like telekinesis, he says flex like it's a stage direction, and so you're seeing it because it's like reading a script. It's really interesting.
Oh wow!
I never knew that.
So I love stuff like that.
Cool.
What I like most about Stephen King is, all right, granted, I love horror as it is, but he's not really horror. He has more suspense thriller type behind him. Yeah. I kind of enjoy that a lot more because you can anybody can get into that.
You can not everybody
likes a slasher film,
but you can scare somebody more with that.
And he throws and sometimes he throws like a little sprinkling of sci-fi in there.
Yes, totally.
And people actually cite his books as like books that will change your life. Like I've actually seen on lists like it has appeared on it, like read it and it will change your life.
Well, think about how many people have a fear of clowns.
Oh yeah,
since like the 70s.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, it was totally different when I was a kid, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, Ronald's gonna touch me and give me some nuggets, and now you have this fucking he might kill me this one.
Of your own books, Kevin, what is your favorite that you've written?
I wrote a book called Eating Animals, which is it's about a TV chef competition, and it starts there, and then you find out that the two people competing against each other have these like weird, elaborate backstories, and there's this like evil woman who falls in love with one. Well, she doesn't fall in love; she decides to use one of them, and she has this like twisted backstory. I basically wanted to write that Steinbeck book, East of Eden, but I wanted to make it modern. Okay. So she's really, really evil, and she has like no conscience. She was born without a conscience. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that you see her, and she's 9 years old, and she's watching a dog die, and she doesn't do anything to help him. And then like all this time later on, you find she has this like really like crazy scene where she kills her boss in like a really disturbing way. So that's my favorite. I wrote that a few years ago, and I didn't know I had it in me, and I did, and I was like really excited that I was constantly writing like 5,000 words a day, like busting out like 10 pages every single day, and I was like, how am I doing this?
And you cited East of Eden, man. What an incredible book! I read that like a couple years ago.
Much better than the movie.
Oh my god, it's amazing. It's really good. You would like it because like he talks about the character, how you said you were writing like a woman that was like really evil, and that's one of the characters in that book is this chick. I think her name was just Kathy, and she was just completely evil, like really like just crazy,
she, like,
man.
Kill her parents?
And then she
like
she
sick.
spanked Dan Aykroyd after that.
She has these twin boys, and she decides that she doesn't know them, and she goes and runs a brothel in like in California in like in Oregon in the 1930s, and like no one knows what happened to her boss. It's really weird. So I wanted to base a character on that for a long time, and I finally did. I finally had the right craft to do it.
Did it take you a while?
I did a pretty good job.
Did it take you a while to just get to that point where you could do that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing novels since '99.
Okay.
And I wrote this book in 2015.
Okay.
So, and I've written huge, long novels before, but that one,
that was something you just always wanted to do. That it just took you. You were like, I don't want to rush this. I'm gonna let it just happen.
I'm gonna let it simmer. Yeah.
Cool.
So I had an idea for this character in my head for about 10 years, and then I just sort of brought her out when I was like, oh wait, I can bring her out now, and I can do this, because I didn't want to be like, I didn't want her to come across as misogynistic. I didn't want to say like all women are evil or anything like that. I didn't want to be gross about it, and so as a guy writer, I wanted to make sure that I was doing her justice, so she could be evil but like still be a person, and I think I did it.
Boo, you say, Dave?
Boo! Like women.
Who's like, that's not realistic.
Now, what did they do? What type of cooking did they do for these competing chefs?
One of them is a specialty. Has a specialty in French cooking, and one has a specialty in Italian cooking. Okay. So those are the two types of cooking I know. And what
so nothing extreme with the meat eating.
Yeah, no fusion. I spent a year reading cooking memoirs.
Oh, wow.
That's like really doing the research. I love that.
Wow,
that's awesome,
that's very cool.
What was your favorite cooking memoir?
So I read this book by Ruth Michael. She was the New York Times food critic, and she wrote 3 books about being a food critic for the New York Times. And it was weird because she would have to like dress up in costume to go to like all these restaurants because they knew who she was. So it's like really, really funny about that. And then I read what did I read? I read this book called Heat, and I don't remember the author. And he like took this tour of Italy and did all this he would go to these kitchens that were in Sicily, and he never they weren't like a regular restaurant. He would do all this weird stuff and make this weird stew, and it was really cool because chefs are completely fucking insane.
Oh, it sounds
like they really are.
Like they turn cooking into like an adventure or something.
Yeah, they go on these like Batman odysseys to find the right mushroom. It's weird.
Yes,
I have a friend of mine from high school. She did that. She went out to. She actually moved to Sicily for a few years and was doing that and doing all these weird tours and going over the volcanoes and look at this, and this is why when we go down the bottom of the mountain we eat these kind of fish. I'm like, it's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, she blocked me on Facebook. Another one.
Yeah, so that was a fun thing to write. Cool. And then I've written a few horror novels. I have a mystery series that I'm sort of publishing right now, chapter by chapter. On I have a Patreon account, so subscribe to me on Patreon.
Nice.
And every day you'll get a chapter of my book.
Cool.
Nice.
So, how are you found on Patreon? Is it just Kevin Quigley?
It is. Yeah, Kevin. Just look up Kevin Quigley, and I'm there. Or Kevinently, which is my handle there.
Yeah,
it's cool. So yeah, I started that a couple weeks ago, and I've gotten a couple subscribers.
Cool.
But what I'm doing is like if you subscribe just $1 a month, you get like a chapter of my mystery books a day, and then if you do $3 a month, you get a special bonus short story every month, and then if you subscribe $10 a month, you get an exclusive art piece once a month as well. So
Bukkake?
That's my. That's what I'm self-employed, so I'm doing anything I can to make money.
There you go. I know the feeling.
Yeah. What your podcast, Kevin, the 3028. That's about Disney.
Oh yeah,
Disney history news. That's a cool subject. But the name 3028. What does that mean?
Walt Disney lived on 3028, I think Kansas Street, when he lived in Kansas City.
Okay.
So that's his his childhood address.
Wow.
My co-host is the one who came up with the name because he loves like the deep history stuff.
Yeah.
So whenever we're gonna do an episode, I'm like, okay, I have to do a deep dive into what we're gonna be talking about so I can be knowledgeable. Because there's way more stuff than you'd ever think.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
We are not the only Disney podcast. There's like
there's
hundreds of Disney podcasts.
Yeah.
Do you guys cover a lot of like the accidents and stuff that happened at the park?
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, like the deaths? No, not that's a cool thing.
I had a cousin that interned at Disney for a while. I had some good stories from him.
That's a fascinating subject.
What about I had heard somewhere that when like before Walt Disney
cummed on somebody. What?
Yeah. No.
Of course they were Jewish.
No. He cummed in a salad.
Well, I heard what Walt Disney, when he was like in the war, he used to do like paintings on the helmets and shit, and he'd sell them off.
He used to draw these weird S's that were like, zigzags.
He was in World War I, and he went there a year earlier than he was supposed to because he worked for the medical team. And when he got there was nothing to do because World War I was winding down. So he just did all these illustrations, and everyone thought they were hilarious. So he when he came back home, he opened the Disney Brothers studio with his brother Roy. Wow. And they started the business, and it was like, and then he finally gets a successful character. There's a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and then it was bought out from under him when he was on vacation. And so he came back and came out with Mickey Mouse.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wait, how did something get bought?
That's what I'm saying. Like his brother did him dirty? Is that what happened? Like how did he get bought out?
No. It wasn't his brother, it was his distributors. He basically, in order to make the money to do these films, these early films, he had to sign away the rights to these things. So, he went away and came back, and the people that had owned the characters sold the rights to someone else.
Wow.
So he didn't have it anymore.
The thing about back then was it was a lot easier to start your own business, but it was also a lot easier for you to fuck people over.
Yeah, to fuck someone over.
It was very cutthroat.
Yeah.
You would have been great back then. You would have been like a mogul back then. So, you would have been selling everybody's ideas.
You steal.
Have you guys seen that new show on AMC about like the history of comic books and comics?
No.
It's coming on. It's the comic book man. It's really been good. I missed the first few, so I've been trying to binge a little. They actually did the same thing about Siegel and Schuster, how they got screwed basically up until the Superman movie, about Wonder Woman, how basically the original writer, that guy, was cheating on his wife with the woman, and actually had a throuple with her afterwards, and got his wife to agree to it, which was amazing. I was watching that last night. I'm like, yes, I love Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. I don't know. I'm just fond of this.
That is weird.
The history of this stuff just fascinates me.
Yeah,
you never know what weird chick pops up, and it's like, wow, that's awesome.
Nice.
So I read comic books all the time. So I'm a huge fan of the Archie comics, which is weird.
Have you seen Riverdale?
I am obsessed with Riverdale.
I love that show. I cannot believe how much I like that show.
I wouldn't even think to check it out.
I never connected two and two like that one, and also stupid me, Smallville took me forever to realize what that was about. I looked at it like, here's this weird fucking country kid. I don't want to watch this shit.
I like.
And like, you guys, it's about Superman. I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes a little sense now.
So you guys got to spoil something for me because like I watched the whole first season of Riverdale, and then I haven't watched the new season because I'm waiting for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Have they introduced her yet?
No, they have not.
Oh,
Sabrina has not come in yet. But there's a serial killer. You need to jump into the season.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll just start watching
they allude to that at the end of season 1 with where the dad gets shot at the diner. So.
Oh, that's the Archie.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Archie.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like trying to Archie.
We said Archie.
The intern put on an hour later.
I was
drinking Four Loko that I bought him.
It's erasing his memory. He's transforming into this Lamborghini because of the Four Loko.
Archie. Okay, Archie.
Oh my god.
So I'm curious. So
it's Jughead's friend.
So Kevin, clearly, like I'm assuming you've done a lot of research in your time. So what was? I don't know if you already answered this with saying like the cooking thing. Was the cooking thing like the most fascinating history you've read, or was it something else?
No, I'll tell you, I had to. So I've written all these books, a bunch of research. I'm writing a book on this band that I love, Blitzen Trapper. Done a lot of research. That all this stuff is great, Stephen King research. But the best research I ever did was for a tiny encyclopedia entry. I was getting paid $50 to write an encyclopedia entry about the history of Tales from the Crypt. That was awesome. Because all I had to do was read Tales from the Crypt comics.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Dude, I love Tales.
You love Tales?
Fucking love Tales from the Crypt.
It was a great show.
It was good.
So what was the most fascinating thing about that?
It was just, so the guy that wrote it he was under siege in the 50s because of McCarthyism. They wanted to get rid of Tales from the Crypt and all those EC comics because they said that they were influencing the youth of America and they were destroying the youth of America.
Wow.
So the guy, William Gaines, who created it, he also created Mad Magazine, by the way.
Wow.
He had to go to court, and he was addicted to Dexedrine, which was just basically speed. So he wrote Tales from the Crypt. He wrote 3 issues of Tales from the Crypt in a night on Dexedrine, and people had to illustrate all the stuff that he was doing in the middle of the night. It was great. And it was just insane.
Here's another one. Draw this.
So yeah, it's comics in the 50s were just weird.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite comic book series of all time?
Daredevil.
Daredevil, really? That's an interesting one.
Fan of Daredevil. I was getting it when the Spider-Man. I wasn't into superhero comics. I was only into horror comics for a long time.
Okay.
And then the first Spider-Man movie came out. Got super into Spider-Man, and then a friend of mine said, "Hey, if you like Spider-Man, you'll probably like Daredevil." And he gave me a Daredevil comic, and it was like a classic one, written and drawn by Frank Miller.
Nice.
And I got super into it, and I was like, "Oh, I love this." And so I got obsessed with it, and then years later, the movie Daredevil came out, and people had told me that they had gone to see the first Star Wars movie, the Phantom Menace, a bunch of times trying to like it, and I'm like, that's stupid. When Daredevil the movie came out, I did the same fucking thing.
Come on, Affleck, I knew you could do that.
Maybe he'd be better as Batman. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, what sucks is now Affleck is a pretty good actor now, but he wasn't then.
Yeah,
no. He's still a shitty actor. That just exposed him for what he was.
I think he got better.
He didn't get better. I think he's gotten worse.
All right, have I gotten less? Critical.
I have a man crush with Batfleck, so.
So you like him then? So you're saying he's a bad actor?
How great was he in Days of Confused?
Oh my God! Yeah,
Days of Confused was amazing. That was well before all of that.
Yeah.
What was the other one after that? Jersey Girl. I'm the guy that likes that.
I never watched.
He's in Mallrats too.
Mallrats was amazing. He was in.
Nah.
Chasing Amy, all that stuff.
Chasing Amy? Yeah. He was a dick in that one, but I still like him. But it was so... have you seen his after-school special about him doing steroids?
No.
That one I jerked off to.
That's amazing.
And I actually remember that from way back when, from 1990. Dude, I was like, yes.
I think I remember that too.
Yeah. Dude, you should write a research paper on Ben Affleck.
I'd have to jerk off with him. But I'd have to join in the circle jerk with all the fucking... Boston people. No offense. You seem a lot more normal. I'm sorry.
I am not.
I'm talking about comparatively.
You insulted him by calling him normal.
I said comparatively.
Mute his mic.
Compared to Ben Affleck, I think you're normal. Compared to most of Boston, you're just as fucked up as everybody else.
I really am. I absolutely am.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Kevin, thank you so much for talking to us.
Hey, no problem. This is a lot of fun.
Been a blast, dude. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Etley. You can find me just under my name, Kevin Quigley, on Facebook. Kevin Etley also on Instagram. I have a Patreon. I have a website, wildmemoryproductions.com. You can check out my art there, my books, and my podcast. Everything's there, wildmemoryproductions.com.
Awesome. Thank you, dude.
Thank you, man. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, brother.
Take care.